If more money comes into Bitcoin, Ether, and they actually go up a decent amount again, that's a great thing for the crypto asset class, because guess what? When institutions or large names and banks actually are up in their Bitcoin investment, what do they do after they make money in Bitcoin? Maybe they'll go after Ether and try to do the same thing again. What happens when they're done with Bitcoin and Ether? They're going to look at other altcoins. Hey, what is up guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. We're going to dive into XRP, Casper, and a few other alts, and I hope you enjoy. We can see on the XRP price chart on the daily time frame, thus far with this candle, we are up just about 20% on the day, wicking as high as 46 cents, over 23%. Now, of course, there's a lot to look forward to, and of course, we can see a variety of things occurring with a lot of ISO 222 speculation, and a lot of projects, or at least networks, are trying to be compliant or interoperable with the messaging standard, which is a good thing. But please remember, looking at the Ripple payment stack overall, XRP will actually be down here at the bottom, the foundation of the payment stack for settlement infrastructure. With ISO and similar messaging standards, it's important to have that so we have interoperability, but that is just one little part of a payment stack. In my personal belief, just like Ripple the company has explicitly said for years, they are starting off with a rollout approach, focusing on cross-border payments strictly in a liquid remittance corridors first. That is the proof of concept, developing enough liquidity, and bringing down some of the crazy high fees we see in the remittance market today. So long term, nothing changes. I believe in XRP. It is still one of my largest holdings today, alongside with Casper, HBAR, and a few others. And if you personally don't think the XRP price chart will do exceptionally well over the long term, that's completely fine, to each their own. There's plenty of opportunities in the crypto asset class. I do not just hold one asset, but XRP is one of the alts that I am most confident in over the long term. And if you'd like to know why, you can watch over 1,000 videos that I've uploaded covering XRP. Now, one thing I want to show you really quick is a video I uploaded back on July 18th of 2020. The crypto bull run is coming, 2020 analysis and price predictions for a few assets, including ADA, VET, XLM, XRP, Chainlink, HBAR, and Tezos. And I was highlighting Terra Luna with this structure here and just aiming for the weekly pivot. And what's interesting is the structure we have today in the market for the altcoins is very similar to this before we see a nice retracement. Now, this was back in July of 2020, just targeting for Luna right here from about 24 cents up to 55 cents to the weekly pivot. We had a variety of wicks up here, but we also had some other assets already reach the P pivot on the weekly time frame. Now, this is the Fibonacci pivot. Now, here's a screenshot of my Terra Luna holdings back in 2020. So I purchased on Bitrue along with KuCoin. And at the time when I found Terra Luna, I was just aimlessly scrolling through CoinMarketCap looking for different chart setups that I like that had nice pivot levels. And then if I did like it, I wanted to do some analysis and see the fundamentals of the project and see if it was maybe a hype wave or legitimate. So back in 2020, I remember setting up, I think it was a software Luna wallet, and I had some holdings on Bitrue along with KuCoin. And setting a purchase for Luna on Bitrue, it was so illiquid, it took 3 to 4 days to even fill. So as you can see, 209,000 tokens, equivalent to about 130K at the time. Now, I'm sure most of you guys already know this story. I like to call it my $20 million mistake, because I missed out on huge gains. I sold too early, and this is one of the reasons why I'm always going to be holding a portion for life for the long term with any alt that I think still has some upside in the future, because selling too early was a very painful lesson that I've learned more than once. So July 2020, targeting from this 24 cent level up to 56 cents at the weekly pivot. And now let's take a look and see what the price action actually did. So of course, we later took off, went right to the P pivot on the weekly time frame. You can see about 55 cents. So Luna had this bottoming structure that I'm seeing in a lot of altcoins. I'm not saying everything's going to go up like 500x plus like Luna, but I think we're very due for a nice retracement this year. And seeing Bitcoin move up from about 15.5 up to 28K thus far is additional confirmation I like to see. So once I sold the bulk of my holdings right here and we later crashed just a couple weeks, months later, I felt like an absolute genius. So I was able to short this part of the market, but don't worry, I got wrecked in other things as well. I felt like a genius making a nice profit, never bought back, and later watched it start moving up. When it was at $4 to $5, I saw YouTubers finally talking about it. All the big Bitcoin YouTubers finally acknowledging Luna when I actually found it as a sub $50 million market cap down here. So I watched Luna go to $4 to $5. I was just like, not chasing, not touching it. And then I just kept watching the amount and realized if I simply held where I was and actually didn't sell, in a perfect world, that would have been worth over $20 million. So of course, live and learn, as we know that Luna actually crashed all the way to zero, and it was basically a crazy social experiment with the algorithmic stablecoin that pegged, and it actually saw a huge amount of adoption but later crashed and affected a lot of people. So in hindsight, I could have made a bunch of money, but if I was holding a bunch, I actually would have seen it go to zero. So I never once chased, but it was just crazy to watch this during the last bull run go from basically a 500x from the all-time low to the all-time high. We can see here we hit the weekly pivot, come back down, and then power up for the real bull run. Well, taking a look at the XRP weekly price chart, we can see the weekly pivot is currently around 51 cents. Have we seen any other altcoin reach this weekly Fibonacci pivot just yet? We've seen Ocean also reach its P pivot alongside a few other AI and big data projects. We've also seen Q&T reach its P pivot, currently riding that level today. We've seen Render reach its P pivot right there. And we've also seen some other projects actually blast right through their P pivot, even surpassing their R3, but even doing a backtest right there. You could also make the argument that this P pivot was right there as well. We also know the Bitcoin price chart has finally reached its P pivot, which is also right around where the price is today at a 236 Fibonacci retracement. Let me get rid of the box so you can see it. And we can see the Ethereum price chart is getting pretty close to that P pivot. Let's also draw a fib, but remove the pivot so we can see it a bit more clearly. From the high all the way to this wick and just slide it all the way over. And we can also see that we are roughly at the 236 Fibonacci retracement today. So we can see that Ether, we have Bitcoin, a few alts are at the 236, and some have gone much higher. We know that Fetch AI is also a top performer, blasting past its P pivot, going all the way up to the R1, almost wicking to R2, but basically taking out its March-April high. And drawing a quick fib, we can also see that we're riding the 382 Fibonacci retracement for quite some time. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 wicks, whereas Bitcoin and Ether are up at the 236. And thus far for HBAR, the 236 is equivalent to about 16 cents. We also have a very important wick down at about 13.9 or 13.8 cents, depending on which exchange you're looking at. We can see that thus far, we are still below the 236, wicking to the 11.8. So these fib retracements right here, the 11.8 and the 0.059, are basically the 236 divided by 2, which is 11.8. 11.8 divided by 2, or 50% of that, is also 0.059. So in terms of pullbacks, a 50% retracement is super common in the world of technical analysis. And same thing goes for the 236 or the 382, and then the inverse of the 382 would just be a 62% pullback. So cool to see that we have both Bitcoin and Ether, two of the largest projects in the entire crypto asset class, up to the 236. Do you think it's possible in due time that other altcoins that are well below their Fibonacci retracement have the potential to turn different levels into support and reach the 236, just like Bitcoin and just like ETH? We can take a look at the weekly Fibonacci pivot as well, and we can see that's right around 13.7. And why is that level interesting? Well, we also have a wick very, very close at about, on this exchange, 13.9. So I think that's a confluence that I'm very interested in. Now, looking at the 236 really quick, and we'll get rid of these fib pivots. We did some analysis a while back discussing when Bitcoin was last at $40,000, HBAR was around 21 cents. We basically looked at HBAR's previous market cap when Bitcoin is at 40K, and if we applied that same market cap today, instead of being right at the 236 right there, when you account for the increase in circulating supply, going back to the previous market cap, we'd actually be around 14 cents today, which is super interesting because we have a wick right on that level in tandem with the weekly Fibonacci pivot right there as well. And if you guys are curious for Casper as well, the P pivot is just over 6 cents. And keep in mind, in tandem with that, I'm also just really eyeballing the 500 moving average. We've had a variety of assets reach this level already, and we're still currently just running sideways in this giant range that has lasted for over 200 days. And just remember, the longer the base, the higher in space when we do in fact get a breakout for any asset. And looking at some fib levels, just to take a quick peek here from the high to the low. Remember, HBAR already reached this level, so did Casper a while back before crashing again. Seems like we're riding this Fibonacci level right now, the 0.059. And both Bitcoin and Ether already reached the 236 Fibonacci retracement right around this level, just above 7 cents. And we can take it all the way back and see a variety of wicks and backtests that serves as resistance. And to take a quick look at XRP to see what we're up to from the high to the low since the 2021 high. Remember, HBAR already hit this level at the 11.8, that's about 48 cents for XRP. And Bitcoin and Ether have already reached the 236. That's equivalent to about 68 cents, let's just say about 70 cents for XRP all the way across. You can see different wicks as well. And fun fact about the XRP price chart, we have a gap at $1.59, really close to the 786 Fibonacci retracement, along with 85 cents. Now I know there's going to be a bunch of people that want to buy after a 20% pump. No thank you, I have plenty of XRP, and the only time I'll be personally ever buying XRP again is if we're lucky enough to come to this bottom of the range. If not, it's fine, my bags are packed. There's always going to be another opportunity. Chances are, since we're seeing a variety of assets, XDC, XRP, different ones that are having 10, 15, 20% plus days, there's going to be others that potentially follow. But alright, let's cover some additional news. So first up, we have right here from the CEO, Renal, and this is shared by Rekt Vojak. This is the CEO of Casper Labs. This person asks, was Google the Fortune 50 company announcement Google Cloud that is? And he says one of them, stay tuned. So it seems like Casper Labs will be announcing another Fortune 50 customer. Also some good news we have on Casper.live, this is the block explorer where you can also delegate and stake your Casper. And remember, on my YouTube channel, go right to my playlists, click Casper, and one of them is called Staking Tutorial. So we have some good news, an easy way to export your Casper account transactions and rewards from delegating your stake history from Casper Live is to your favorite crypto tax software included with Coinly, CoinLedger, and CoinTracker. So about time, that's great news. Also, really quick, let's take a look at the Fear and Greed Index, and let me refresh this to make sure it's still active. So we're currently at 68. Now, please keep this in mind. I want to go back to a previous bull run and take a look at this. So looking at the price history or the index history of the Crypto Fear and Greed Index back in 2020, January 2021, Feb 2021, the months that were life-changing for many people that dollar cost average during the last previous bear market, we can see the Fear and Greed Index was actually above 90 for quite some time. You can see multiple months it was bouncing between 90, crashing down to 40, but maintaining a lot of dots up here. That's a big deal. So I thought that was pretty interesting to see that greed was above 90 for that long during a bull run. And we're currently at 68. So like clockwork, we had another 1 billion Tether actually minted as well. So every time we see a bunch of Tether minted, a lot of us speculate that this props up the market substantially and eventually leads to a nice pump or price rise. Now this was 5 days ago, of course it did for Bitcoin as well. And we can see by XRP Crypto Wolf, Ripple the company partners with and invests in a Singapore fund to accelerate Web3 adoption, to support Web3 and crypto startups globally. In other news, we have Coinbase planning to set up a crypto trading platform outside of the US. And I thought this chart was pretty interesting, shared by Stock Money Lizard. So just discussing the Bitcoin Black Swan events and death sentences, or the survivalist. You can see towards the beginning of the Bitcoin price chart, we have the Mt. Gox hack. We have the Bitfinex crash toward the bottom of the market. We had the C-word crash during March 2020. We had SBF and all that information towards the crashing of 2022. And then recently, Silicon Valley Bank right there. And this is when Bitcoin was around 20,000. So super interesting. Also have my crypto noob right here. Bitcoin is just getting started. I just wanted to show you the similarities on the monthly time frame. So this is a macro view. Every single candle is 1 month. So this takes tons of time to actually play out. We can see Bitcoin years ago looking at the stochastic RSI, very similar structure to the beginning of the next cycle or the bottom of the market. We can see right here as well, during the 2015 bear market, look at the similarities of the RSI and the stochastic. Now, of course, a bull run goes up, overbought, momentum comes back down, next bear market. Towards the bottom, before a retracement, we were also oversold. Still saw a nice retracement. So both the RSI and the stock RSI or stochastic is in a very similar position. And we've seen this 1, 2, 3 times. Now we're entering the 4th time. We have the stochastic being very similar right now. So if you don't believe in TA, that's completely fine, but I would definitely pay a lot of attention when you see monthly and weekly charts, because they're extremely valid and sometimes they're all that you need. We also have the EU Parliament passing smart contract regulation under Data Act. More and more regulation on the way. And you know what? We're going to finish up with this. Please listen to this. So we know all these narratives and banks actually failing. Well, mainstream media said we're going to be fine. You have Treasury Secretary saying, oh, banks are fine. Banks crash. Oh, no more banks are going to fail. More banks fail. More banks are going to have a liquidity crisis and many are insolvent. Now we can see breaking here from Mario, and he posts some great information. 186 banks have similar risks as Silicon Valley Bank. And in quotes, our calculations suggest these banks are certainly at a potential risk of a run, absent other government intervention or recapitalization. 186 banks. Now, I'm not trying to preach FUD, but this is a potential narrative. So imagine if this narrative plays out over the next 12 months, other large banks fail, or there's maybe even FUD or just additional scares. Those with cash left could flock to crypto. Now, stay with me. Some people are going to say, why would they go after risk on assets like crypto? That is way too risky. That doesn't make any sense. And other people might say, well, Kevin, they're blocking banks from even accessing crypto. Yeah, maybe for everyday people in minnows, but for large institutions, you still have on-ramps, you have OTC brokers, and I have those linked in the YouTube video description like always. My point being is that a lot of these institutions and massive banks are looking for ways to actually generate revenue that can keep up with the rate of inflation. If we can see that a 10-year treasury rate is about 3.47%, maybe you're getting long-term 4%. If you're getting 5%, awesome. But if right now inflation is around 6%, maybe it's higher, maybe it's lower, you're still losing money each and every year, even if you're investing or holding your money in treasuries is a hedge or really just a store of value. My point being is some of the largest institutions are holding huge amounts of money in bonds, and it's not even keeping up with the rate of inflation. So if you're losing money each and every year, you might be looking for actually adding some big risk plays that are going to pay off big, e.g. the crypto asset class. And I know everybody says that's a stupid idea, but risk on assets could be very sexy in the future as the government just gets more and more uncertain. Average people are starting to pay attention and waking up. And so far, from the low at the end of 2022, Bitcoin has gone up about 83%. So if more money does in fact come into the crypto market, comes into Bitcoin, comes into Ethereum, we know Fidelity and some of the biggest custodians, some of which have trading desks live and others are building. If more money comes into Bitcoin, Ether, and they actually go up a decent amount again, that's a great thing for the crypto asset class because guess what? When institutions or large names and banks actually are up in their Bitcoin investment, what do they do after they make money in Bitcoin? Maybe they'll go after Ether and try to do the same thing again. What happens when they're done with Bitcoin and Ether? They're going to look at other altcoins. So that's just my 2 cents, guys, not financial advice. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.